Moffat 1:48.5, so that is a new lap record for the size of car, 1:48.5. Alan Moffat on the third lap, breaking the lap record for this class.
Well, it doesn't quite surprise me, Alan. He was working pretty hard in those early laps. He seems to have, as a matter of fact, steadied up a little since then. He's giving himself anything up to 3 inches clearance on the fences now, and tending to stay on the road across the apexes and on the exits as well.
And that must have been a very hot lap, that third lap, Graham, because another record in Peter Brock, setting a new time for cars in his class. Peter Brock's time 1:48, which bettered Colin Bond's time of 1:48.2. So we have 2 new outright lap records for this class for the cars over 5 litres and those under it.
Yes, of course, this is something that in a way surprises me, because this is going to be a very long hour for these people. Warwick Farm is almost incessantly a change direction course. There's only one major straight, and one would think that a little bit of conservation in the early stages could be well repaid. For this reason, I think it's interesting to remember that we've got charges placed 3rd and 5th at this stage, and the race is not necessarily to the swiftest at the start. But that's Peter Brock in with, obviously with tyre trouble, and that takes the pressure off Chivers, and virtually writes off Peter Brock's chances, I'm afraid, because the time taken for a wheel change is going to be very difficult to regain.
Yes, Graham, they were on the 12th lap, which means that another 23 laps remained. So it would mean a tremendous performance on the part of Peter Brock to pick up the lost ground that he's lost by coming into the pits. Still no change of order apart from the absence of Peter Brock now, with Bond leading from Moffat. But Brock very quickly out of the pit, so that was good pit service indeed. But no doubt he'll join the field some laps behind. Still with Colin Bond. Around to the causeway fence and went out very wide that time, but gets a nice line coming through with the left front wheel coming right up off the ground as he caught it. Time again with Brock complete, or Bond at least completing that lap. We had him lapped at 1:48.2, and that is equal to the old record that he established in winning the race last year, 1:48.2. Although that time has been bettered today with a time of 1:48 by Peter Brock before he went into the pits. Here's the change of fortune that Alan Moffat may have been banking on. Colin Bond slowed on the approach to the causeway, and he too, like his teammate Peter Brock, has either blown an outside tyre or broken outside front wheel. And Moffat, with an enormous cheer from the grandstand, goes through into the lead. Bond, you'll notice, despite his wheel trouble, isn't backing off very much in sprinting back to the pits for repairs. A bit of a puzzle, because this is the relatively lightly used left-hand front wheel
of the Tirana, which is causing the problem here. And now the Holden Dealer Team pit crew with their compressed air guns for tightening up the wheel nuts are back in action. The car's lowered from its quick lift jacks, and I'd say Bond will be back in the race with a loss of about 30 seconds. But this is a complete change of fortune now for the Holden Dealer Team. Both its drivers have been well back, and striding off in front is Alan Moffat.
Alan Moffat with about 8 laps to go to complete what looks like a certain victory for him, provided nothing, of course, goes wrong with his machine. Earlier in the race, we would, of course, said that it was a certain victory for Colin Bond, but in the world of motor racing, nothing is certain, and as we saw, Colin Bond lost valuable time with wheel trouble and had to pull into the pits, which meant that all chance he had of winning the race was lost. So certainly anything can happen in the sport of motor racing, and Alan Moffat is hoping, quite honestly, that it won't.
Colin Bond appears to have managed to restart his motor car, and he's back in the race.
Alan Moffat on the tail of one of the Chargers driven by Mark Chenery. And let's watch Moffat here as he's going to try everything to get past this Charger, which has almost as much power as the car being driven by Alan Moffat. So this could be interesting. Well, let's just watch the expertise of Alan Moffat and see just how he tries to get past the Charger. Well, Chenery not giving him any ground. He's keeping to the inside all the time and preventing him from coming through.
Alan, you do realise that Moffat has now put himself in a Charger sandwich, and the Chargers have in the past driven in formation under certain circumstances, and I think Moffat's going to find Chenery a little wider than the average Charger, if you know what I mean.
Well, as you mentioned before, obviously the Holden Dealer team had race tactics worked out, but those tactics went astray when the two Holden Tiranas had to drop out of the race and lose ground. But the Chargers are still in it, and while they're together, they obviously try some team tactics, but to no avail, with Moffat slipping through nicely as he comes into pit straight. Chenery trying his hardest now to get past the GTHO. And this could be interesting to watch them as they come up around Homestead Corner and into Hume Straight. Let's just see what the difference is between these two cars. Now Chenery pulling out, trying to out-accelerate the GTHO, but he hasn't got the power under his bonnet, and Moffat slips away quite easily up the long half-mile straight. On the 28th lap, Moffat still leading in his GTHO from Chivers in the Charger, Gagan in 3rd place in the Charger, Holland in 4th place in the XU1, Goss is in 5th place in the Charger, and Tony Paul of Queensland has moved up into 6th place, also driving a Charger.